This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids! It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Tuesday, October 25. In Squiz Kids Today, breaking down the budget. UK's new PM, solar eclipse about to throw shade, and dressing dogs for Halloween. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
A word you won't be able to escape in the news today is budget. That's because with a great deal of fanfare and a storm of media coverage, the Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers will be handing down the budget later tonight. So, what does that mean, to hand down a budget? The Federal Treasurer is the politician in Canberra in charge of deciding what the country spends money on. You know how your parents go to work, and maybe you've heard them talking about how a portion of the money they earn goes in taxes to the government? Well, those taxes, as well as a lot of other money the government raises, go into a big pile of cash that it uses to make sure the country runs smoothly. Now, as you might imagine, there are lots and lots of things that are required to make a country run smoothly. From the roads we drive on every day, to the hospitals we hopefully don't have to visit very often, to the schools you attend. All of these things and a whole lot more cost money to run. And to make sure that everything gets the money it needs, the government has to divvy up the pile of cash that it has every year and make decisions about how and where to spend that money. It's kind of like a great big giving out of pocket money. And right now, you will have heard phrases like cost of living and words like inflation being thrown about. That's because money is getting tight out there. It costs us more each week to fill our shopping trolleys or to fill our petrol tanks. And so tonight, when Jim Chalmers delivers the budget and talks about where the government will be spending money in the year to come, you can expect there to be lots of talk about the importance of being careful and smart with our money. And there, my friends, is your economics lesson for the day. You're welcome.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in England. And that's because yesterday in London, the race to become British Prime Minister just got a little less racy when one of the main contenders, Boris Johnson, pulled out. Yes, the same Boris Johnson who resigned from the Prime Ministership under a cloud of scandal a couple of months ago. It's complicated. Anyway, the front-runner now to become the big kahuna in the United Kingdom is a fellow by the name of Rishi Sunak, who, unless there's a calamity between now and Friday, and remember it is Britain, so anything at the moment is possible, he will be named the next British Prime Minister. As well as being the one-time Treasurer of Britain, and over there the job title is the very grand-sounding Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mr. Sunak is a dad of two, a graduate of not one but two fancy universities called Oxford and Stanford, and is of Indian descent and a Hindu. And he is hoping he is more drama-resistant than his two predecessors.
Spaced out.
Hands up, who's in the mood for a solar eclipse? Yeah, me too. Well, as luck would have it, there's one happening today. It's just too bad we're on the wrong side of the Earth to actually see it. A solar eclipse is when the moon passes in front of the sun and momentarily blocks out its light. The moon casts a shadow onto the Earth. A shadow which cuts a path across the Earth's surface, passing over a bunch of towns, cities and countries. I've stuck a link in today's episode notes to a cool video explainer. Today's solar eclipse will only be visible if you live in parts of Europe, Asia, the Middle East and Africa. Sorry, Aussie Squiz Kids, you'll have to be content to follow the live streams of it all that will be running on YouTube. And I've stuck a couple of links in the episode notes to that too. Just be aware that if you want to see it live, you might be doing it in your jammies. The peak of the eclipse is expected to be at 10 o'clock tonight. Oh, there goes the classroom companion clarion, indicating that the classroom worksheets for Squiz Kids for School subscribers are tied to this news item in the podcast. Not a subscriber, but you want to jump into a free trial? Check out the link in today's episode notes, or find out more at squizkids.com.au.
Animal Kingdom.
So, given that today's podcast we've had budget explanations and British politics, let's end on something easy. And nothing could be easier or more fun than dogs dressed in Halloween costumes. And nowhere does Doggy Halloween better than New York City in the United States, where most everything is bigger and louder and more outlandish. Outlandish is a fancy word for just a little bit silly, but in a very good way. The annual Halloween dog parade in Tompkins Square Park has taken place this year again over the weekend with all sorts of canines dressed in Halloween costumes. I've stuck a link to a photo gallery in today's episode notes. My favourite is definitely Ruby, the Australian poodle, dressed as a lion, closely followed by the pooches who are dressed as Batman and Robin. There's also a cat in there dressed as a dog, but I feel like that's cheating. Either way, it's a clever and totally New York way to turn Halloween into Howloween. Oh dear, there goes the dad joke alarm. Sometimes I just can't help myself.
Time for the Squiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What is going to pass in front of the sun to cause a solar eclipse today? Yeah, that's right, it's the moon. Question number 2. What, starting with B, will Australia's Treasurer Jim Chalmers hand down tonight? Yeah, that's right, it's the budget. Question number 3. What animals have been dressed in Halloween costumes in New York City? Yeah, of course, they're dogs and maybe one cat.
Shout-outs.
It's October 25, 60 days till Christmas. I can almost taste the eggnog. It's also World Pasta Day today, so be sure to stuff your face with some lasagna or spaghetti tonight. It's also a special day for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today. Willem from Shoal Bay, Jack from Lewisham, Campbell from Helensvale, Madeline from Dysart, Diego from Maitland, Ada from Shenton Park, Karamo from Munno-Para, Heath from Mount Lawley, Roxy from Bayview, Lincoln from Murrumbina, Sophie from Gunnedah, Ollie from Bowral, and Oreo, who's listening all the way over there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And belated birthday shout-outs go to Portia from Munno-Para, Lola from Goulburn, and Nate from Canberra, whose mum is really, really sorry she forgot to submit the shout-out yesterday. Classroom shout-outs today go to Grade 5 and Mrs. Stasson at MacArthur Anglican School in Cobbitty, Class 3-4C and Mr. Catley at West Wallsend Public School, Class 4P and Miss Picanali at St Agatha's Primary School in Cranbourne, and Class 5-6B with Mr. Carrot at Petersham Public School. And a special shout out to the Year 5-6 students at Our Lady of the Sacred Heart on Thursday Island. Thank you guys for letting your teachers come to Sydney. Amanda loved meeting them. And lastly, a surprise shout out to Mrs. Drury in Class 3-4D at Cherrybrook Public School. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out, drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.